I never imagined burying my son at 5 years old. No parent does. Yet here I am, standing in front of Noah's small white casket, staring at the polished wood that now holds everything I have ever loved. His favorite blue blanket is tucked inside with him because he always said it made him feel safe, something I failed to give him when it mattered most. The weight of that realization crushes me more than the whispers behind me. They aren't just mourning Noah, they're judging me. I can feel their stares, their silent accusations burning into my back. Their hushed voices are a sharp contrast to the suffocating quiet of the church. Where's his wife? How could she not be here? Small towns thrive on gossip, and I know that today, Claire's absence isn't just noticed, it's devoured. But they don't know what I do. Minutes before stepping into this church, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I glanced at it, expecting condolences or another logistical question about the service. Instead, what I saw made my blood run cold. A photo. Claire lying by a pool, the Hawaiian sun glowing against her skin. A man young, tanned, and smug as his arm draped over her. A cocktail sits in her manicured hand. Below the photo is a message. Thought you should see what your wife is doing today. A concerned friend. For a moment, my brain refuses to process what I'm seeing. It disconnects and refuses to link the woman I built a life with to the person in this image. Claire isn't at an important business meeting, like she told me. She isn't in the front row, gripping my hand, mourning our son. She's sipping margaritas in paradise. With him, tangled up with some stranger while I buried our child alone. The betrayal is instant, immediate, but I don't have time to react. A soft hand grips my arm. My mother, her voice is gentle but urgent. Jacob, you're shaking. I am. My fingers tremble around the phone, knuckles white as I squeeze it too tightly. I shove it into my pocket like burying it deep can make it disappear. But it won't. That image is burned into my mind, taunting me every time I blink. I swallow the rage clawing up my throat. Not now. Not here. I lift my head as the funeral director motions for me to take my seat. Somehow, my legs move. Somehow, I made it to the front pew where Claire should have been. I sit down, shoulders squared, jaw tight. I refuse to give the town the satisfaction of seeing me unravel. But inside, my mind is in chaos. The past few months have flashed through my head, puzzle pieces clicking into place. Claire's late night calls, her sudden work trips, the way she pulled away when Noah's condition worsened. I had blamed grief, though we were handling things differently, but I was a fool. The pastor's voice breaks through my thoughts. He speaks about Noah's love for life, and his endless energy even when cancer stole his strength. My chest tightens as he talks about Noah's favorite pastime, coloring white roses with food dye. I can almost see him now, tiny hands stained blue and purple, giggling as he turned plain petals into something beautiful. My eyes flick to the bouquet on the casket. White roses. Claire hated them, said they were too plain. But they weren't for her. They were for Noah. A buzz in my pocket. Another message. I hesitate before pulling out my phone. Claire, sorry, I couldn't make it. Important business meeting. I'll make it up to you. Make it up to me? Make up for skipping our son's funeral? Make up for sipping cocktails while I lay Noah to rest? Rage, white hot and consuming. It burns through me, sharp and unforgiving. For a moment, it swallows the grief. Replace it with something cold. She has no idea what's coming. I won't crumble like she expects. I won't be the grieving widower she can manipulate. Claire abandoned us when we needed her most. But she won't walk away unscathed. Not this time. The funeral is over, but the weight on my chest hasn't lifted. If anything, it's heavier. I move through the reception like a ghost, nodding at distant relatives and shaking hands with neighbors offering empty condolences. Their words blur together soft, rehearsed lines that mean nothing. He's in a better place now. He's not suffering anymore. But what better place could there be than in my arms, watching cartoons, laughing, begging for pancakes at dinner? I feel hollow. But beneath the grief, something else stirs, something sharp. Anger. I can't stop seeing that photo. Claire, glowing under the sun while I buried our son in the cold. I grip the edge of the table to steady myself. A neighbor pats my shoulder, mistaking my rage for sorrow. If only they knew. Across the room, Claire's parents Diana and Howard hover near the kitchen. Their presence is unwelcome but expected. They've barely spoken to me all day, but their eyes say enough. They're judging me. To them, Claire can do no wrong. I was always the problem. Diana finally approaches a plate of untouched cookies in hand. Her voice is coated with forced sympathy. You've been so strong today, Jacob. It's a shame Claire couldn't be here, but she's grieving in her way. You know how difficult this has been for her. Difficult for her? My fingers tighten around my glass. I lift my gaze to meet hers, steady and cold. Oh, I imagine Hawaii is a nice distraction from all the difficulty. Diana freezes. Just for a second. But it's enough. She wasn't expecting that. She recovers quickly, pressing her lips into a thin line. Grief makes people act out of character. Claire just needed space to process everything. Space? She didn't need space. She needed an escape. I want to show Diana the picture. Shove it in her face. Force her to admit what her daughter is. But I don't. I take a slow breath, forcing my voice to stay even. I'm sure she did. Before Diana can respond, my mother appears at my side, her presence grounding me. Diana, she says, voice sharp, I think you've said enough. Diana hesitates. Then she turns and walks away. My mother waits until she's gone before speaking. Don't let her get to you, she murmurs. She knows what Claire has done. I look at her, my voice barely above a whisper. You think she knows? Mom nods. She's her mother. Of course she knows. The words hit harder than I expected. This isn't just Claire's betrayal. It's a family affair. Diana and Howard knew. Maybe not every detail, but enough. And they protected her, enabled her. And I was too blind to see it. I retreat to my father's study, needing space. The exhaustion of the day crashes over me, but my mind won't stop racing. How long? How long had Claire been planning this? I pull out my phone, staring at the picture again. The man's arm draped over her, the drink in her hand, the way she leans into him. This isn't new. This isn't sudden. This was planned. I swipe to our bank app, my heart pounding. Transactions scroll by. Gas, groceries, Noah's medical bills, then something that makes my stomach drop. A withdrawal, a large one. Days before Noah died. I dig deeper. More transactions, more transfers. Thousands have gone funneled into an account I don't recognize. My blood turns to ice. Then I see it. A document buried in our shared files, a life insurance policy. For Noah, $1 million. And Claire is the sole beneficiary. My breath leaves me. My name was on it once, but 6 months Agorite after Noah's diagnosis, Claire had me removed. She didn't just leave. She didn't just cheat. She profited. I gripped the edge of the desk, nausea twisting in my gut. I thought I'd lost everything when I lost Noah. But now I realize I had been losing long before that. My phone buzzes again. Another unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something tells me to pick up. Hello? My voice is rough, edged with exhaustion. A pause. Then a woman's voice, low and urgent. Jacob? I don't recognize it. Who is this? My name's Mia. I need to talk to you. It's about Claire. The mention of her name makes my grip tighten around the phone. I'm not interested. You should be, she says quickly. Because I know what she's been doing. I know about Hawaii. And I know you're not going to like what I have to tell you. My pulse spikes. How do you know about that? Because I know Brandon, she says. Better than you do. Brandon. The man in the photo. I don't speak, but she takes my silence as permission to continue. Meet me, she says. The coffee shop on Main. Now. I hesitate. This could be a waste of time. Or worsey setup. But something in her voice tells me it's not. I exhale sharply. I'm on my way. The woman sitting at the corner table doesn't look how I expected. Dark auburn hair pulled back into a tight ponytail. Sharp green eyes. A rigid posture that screams tension. She's already stirring her coffee when I slide into the seat across from her. I drop my phone onto the table. Start talking. She doesn't look up, just keep stirring. I didn't think you'd come. You said you had something on Claire. She finally lifts her gaze, studying me. Then she exhales, shaking her head. You don't know, do you? I clench my jaw. Know what? She reaches for her phone, scrolling before sliding it across the table. Text messages. Claire, the payout came through. It's more than enough. We'll be out of here by the end of the month. Brandon, Maui's waiting, babe. Just don't let him suspect anything. Claire, he's too broken to see straight. It's already done. My stomach twists. I read the messages again. Then again, I feel sick. She played both of us, Mia says. Brandon and I were together for 2 years before Claire got involved. At first, it was just an affair. Then, suddenly, he was talking about a new life, about having enough money to finally get away. I forced myself to look at her. How long? She doesn't hesitate. Over a year. A year. While I sat in hospital rooms holding Noah's hand, while I stayed up late researching treatments, while I lost sleep wondering if Claire was struggling under the weight of our son's illness. She wasn't struggling. She was planning. Mia continues. At first, I thought Brandon was full of shit, that he was lying about Claire. But then he started showing me proof, screenshots, bank transfers. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a thick envelope. She pushes it toward me. What's this? My voice is tight. Everything you need to know, she says. Dates, accounts, messages. Claire's been funneling money for months. Brandon thinks she's going to share it with him. I frown. Thinks? Mia smirks, but there's no humor in it. She's smarter than him. He's just a pawn. The second she doesn't need him, she'll drop him like she dropped you. The words land like a slap, but I don't flinch. Instead, I open the envelope. The evidence is overwhelming. Transactions leading to an account I don't recognize. Flight itineraries. A down payment for a house in Maui under Claire's name. A detailed plan. To disappear. To leave me with nothing. I lift my eyes to Mia. Why are you helping me? She leans back, crossing her arms. Because Claire took everything from me too, and I don't believe in letting people like her win. I close the envelope and slide it into my jacket. My mind is already turning. Mia watches me carefully. So? I meet her gaze. I'm in. I sat in my father's study. The envelope from Mia spread open on the desk. Pages of bank transfers, emails, and messageable proof of Claire's betrayal. My hands tighten around the edges of the papers, knuckles white. She didn't just cheat, she didn't just leave, she stole. From me, from our son. And she thought I wouldn't notice. I grab my laptop and log into our shared bank account. The numbers stare back at me, mocking me. Claire was careful. The withdrawals weren't obvious small amounts, spread over time. But Mia was right. She was funneling money into a separate account. An account I never knew existed. I keep digging. More transactions. Thousands were transferred right before Noah died. Thousands more after. And then I see it, a payment to a real estate firm. The down payment on a house in Maui. She was setting up her new life before our son was even on the ground. A wave of nausea rolls through me, but I swallow it down. I don't have time for a break. Not yet. I need more. I push back from the desk and head down the hall to my parents' room. My mother is sitting on the edge of the bed, a stack of sympathy cards in her lap. She looks up as I enter, her sharp eyes immediately locking onto my face. She knows something's wrong. Jacob? I hesitate, then hold up the papers. I need your help. She doesn't ask questions, just gestures for me to sit beside her. Tell me. I take a deep breath and lay it all out. Claire. The hidden money, the house in Maui, the fact that her parents knew. When I'm done, my mother is silent. Then she exhales, long and slow. I knew she was trouble, she murmurs. But I didn't know how deep it ran. I rub a hand over my face. I need to stop this before she takes more. Before she sells the house. Something flickers in my mother's expression. She stands and walks to the closet, reaching up onto the highest shelf. She pulls down a small leather-bound notebook. She presses it into my hands. Read it. I opened it. The pages are filled with dates, notes, and scribbles in my mother's neat handwriting. I scan them. My heart starts pounding. Meetings with a lawyer. Discussions with a realtor. Documents with my father's name on them. She tried to get your father to sign something a few weeks ago, my mother says quietly. I stopped her. He was confused that day, and I knew something was wrong. I flipped to the back. A scanned copy of the document. It's a property transfer agreement. Claire and Diana were trying to sell the house behind my back. Using my father's failing memory to do it, my hands shake as I close the notebook. They think I'm too broken to fight back, I whisper. My mother squeezes my hand. Then prove them wrong. I stand, heart pounding. I need to make some calls. My mother nods. Do what you have to do, Jacob. I'll back you up. I won't waste another second. I grab my phone and dial the only person who can help me now. A sharp voice answers on the third ring. Jacob, what's going on? I take a deep breath. Marcus, I need a lawyer. I push open the glass door of the realtor's office, my grip tightening around the folder in my hand. The air inside is cool and sterile, but my blood is running hot. Claire is already here, sitting across from the realtor with Diana beside her. They're dressed sharp and polished like they're closing on a dream home. Their heads snap up when they see me. Claire's smile falters. "Jacob?" I walk straight to the table and drop the folder in front of them. The papers spill out, documents covered in highlighted transactions, forged signatures, and bank transfers. "This stops now." My voice is cold, steady. The realtor looks between us, confused. "I'm sorry, what's going on?" I pulled out the property transfer agreement, the one Claire tried to get my father to sign when he was confused. I slap it onto the table. "This is fraud." I turn to Claire. "You forged my signature. You tried to steal my house. And you thought I wouldn't notice." Claire's face drains of color. Diana shifts in her chair, straightening her blazer. "Jacob, let's not be dramatic." I laugh, sharp and humorless. "Dramatic? You tried to steal everything from me." I gesture to the documents. "You and Claire have been funneling money for months, setting up your little escape plan." I meet Claire's eyes. "Hawaii, right? You and Brandon were going to live off the money you stole from me and Noah." Claire flinches as I slap her. Don't know what you're talking about." I pull out my phone, open the messages Mia sent me, and press play on the voice recording. Claire's voice fills the silent room. "The payout is in the account. Once the house sells, we'll have enough for the down payment on the Maui place." Brandon's voice follows. "What about Jacob?" Claire laughs. "He's too distracted to notice. He'll never see it coming." The recording ends. The silence is suffocating. Claire stares at me, her hands clenched into fists. "You recorded me?" I shake my head. "Number. But someone who knows the kind of person you are." The realtor stands abruptly. I think I need to step out for a moment. "No," I say sharply. "You stay. You need to hear this." I look back at Claire and Diana. The sale is over. Marcus already filed a motion to freeze the property. This house isn't going anywhere. Diana's lips press into a thin line. "You have no right to do this." I lean forward, my voice low. "Try me." Claire swallows hard. She knows she's lost. She turns to Diana. "Mom, we need to go." Diana hesitates, but when she looks back at me, there's something new in her expression. Fear. They stand, gathering their things. Claire hesitates at the door, glancing back. "Jacob," I hold up a hand. "Don't." She lowers her gaze and walks out. The second the door swings shut behind them, I let out a slow breath. The fight isn't over. Not yet. But the war? It's finally begun. Marcus leans back in his chair, scanning the documents spread across his desk. His office is dimly lit, the weight of what we're doing pressing down like a storm cloud. Exhales, shaking his head. "This is bigger than I thought," he mutters. "Claire didn't just steal from you. She built an entire escape plan, step by step." I cross my arms. "Can we stop her?" Marcus nods. "We can do more than that. We can bury her." I say nothing, waiting. He flips through the paperwork. "We'll hit her with fraud first. The forged signatures on the property transfer are enough to invalidate the sale, but we need to go further. We need to prove intent." I slide another document across the desk. "Mia gave me this. It's a record of every transfer Claire made to her hidden account. If we connect this to Brandon and their planned house in Maui," Marcus smirks, "we can prove conspiracy." He picks up his phone. "I'll start filing the motions now. By the time she realizes what's happening, it'll be too late." Claire realizes it 2 days later. She storms into my driveway, her car screeching to a stop. She slams the door so hard the whole car shakes. I step outside before she can start banging on my door. Her eyes are wild, panicked. "What did you do?" I fold my arms. "Stopped you from robbing me blind." Her hands shake as she shoves her phone in my face. "You froze my accounts? You're trying to ruin me?" I tilt my head. "Ruin you?" I take a slow step forward. "You stole from me, Claire. From Noah. You planned to disappear with Brandon and live off the money you took while I was burying our son." My voice hardens. "You ruined yourself." Tears well in her eyes, but I know better now. They aren't real. "Jacob, please," she whispers. "I made mistakes, but—" I cut her off. "Mistakes?" I gesture toward the house. "You tried to steal my home. You drained our savings. You forged my father's signature when he was too sick to understand what was happening. That's not a mistake, Claire. That's calculated." She shakes her head, panic rising. "I can fix this. You'll what? I snap. Run to Brandon, he already flipped on you. She freezes. What? I smirk. Oh, you didn't know? He panicked when he heard we were coming after you for fraud. Cut a deal to save his skin. The color drains from her face. I take another step forward, lowering my voice. He gave us everything. The text messages, the bank records, your little plans for Maui. It's all in my lawyer's hands now. She stumbles back, shaking her head. No, this isn't happening. It is. She stares at me, her breathing uneven. Then, suddenly, her expression hardens. You think you've won? She spits. You think ruining me will bring Noah back? A sharp pain shoots through my chest at his name, but I don't let it show. No, I say quietly. Nothing can bring him back. I meet her gaze, steady and unshaken. But I can make sure you pay for what you've done. She looks like she wants to say more, to fight, to twist the story in her favor. But for the first time, she has nothing. She turns on her heel, storms back to her car, and speeds off. I watch her go, the tension in my chest easing just slightly. 1 down, 2 to go. Diana and Howard try to fight back. They hire their lawyers and spin their lies. They try to claim they were just looking out for their daughter, that they had no idea what Claire was doing. But Marcus is relentless. We have proof they pressured your father into signing over the house, he tells me during one of our late-night meetings. That alone is enough to build a case for elder abuse. It takes weeks. Weeks of hearings, paperwork, courtrooms. Weeks of watching Claire sit across from me, her carefully built life crumbling around her. Then, finally, the verdict. Fraud. Forgery. Conspiracy to commit financial theft. Claire is found guilty. Diana and Howard, too. They lose everything. Claire's assets are seized. The life insurance pay out the money she thought would be her golden taquitos redirected to a pediatric cancer foundation in Noah's name. The house? Mine. Officially, legally, and permanently. Claire's sentence isn't long, but it's enough. Enough to ensure she can't hurt anyone else the way she hurt me. Enough to make her regret ever thinking she could walk away unscathed. As she's let out of the courtroom, she turns back one last time. Her voice is barely a whisper. Jacob, I don't respond. I just watch as they take her away. The house is quiet now, the kind of quiet that settles deep, wrapping itself around the walls, the floors, the memories. For months, it's been filled with lawyers, court dates, and the weight of betrayal. But now, with Claire and her family out of my life, there's something new in the silence. Peace. I walk down the hall, stopping at Noah's room. It's just as he left it. His favorite stuffed penguin sits on the bed, slightly lopsided from years of being carried everywhere. The drawings he taped to the walls are still here, their edges curling slightly. I pick up the penguin, running my thumb over the worn fabric. I did it, buddy, I whisper. I made it right. Noah's life insurance money, the money Claire tried to steal, isn't hers anymore. It belongs to the foundation now. The Noah Thompson Foundation. It's already helping families who are where I once was sitting in hospital rooms, holding tiny hands, hoping for more time. It won't bring him back, but it means his name will live on. That he won't just be a lost story, but about something more. Something good. I set the penguin back on the pillow, smoothing the blankets before I leave the room. The air outside is crisp, the leaves crunching under my feet as I walk toward the cemetery. The sun is low, streaking the sky with soft oranges and deep purples. Noah's headstone is simple, clean, just the way he would have liked it. There's a small engraving of a penguin in the corner. I kneel, brushing a stray leaf away. You'd be proud, I say softly. The house is safe. The foundation's running. Your name is helping so many people. A gentle breeze moves through the trees. I close my eyes for a moment, letting it wash over me. I pull something from my pocket and set it at the base of the stone. Noah's penguin. It belongs here now. With him, I swallow hard, my throat tight. I miss you, I whisper. The wind shifts, and something small flutters down, landing on the headstone. A butterfly. Its wings move slowly, catching the last light of the day. I stare at it, something deep in my chest loosening. I don't move. I just watch as it stays for a few more seconds, then lifts off, spiraling up, and then it's gone. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Behind me, footsteps crunch on the gravel. My father stops beside me, his hands in his coat pockets. His memory isn't what it used to be, but today, his eyes are clear. He's at peace now, he says quietly. I nod, my voice barely above a whisper. I hope so. He looks down at the penguin, a small smile tugging at his lips. You know, Noah told me something once. I glance at him. What? Not long before he passed, he said, Don't worry about Dad, he's stronger than everyone thinks. My chest tightens. I press a hand against my jaw, swallowing the emotion rising in my throat. He said that? I ask, my voice cracking. My father nods. He was right, you know. I blink up at the sky, the fading sunlight, and the space where the butterfly disappeared. Maybe he was. Maybe, after everything, I'm still standing. Still here. I'm still moving forward. I push myself up and turn to my father. Pancakes? I ask, a smile creeping into my voice. His eyes light up with rare clarity. Pancakes? Noah always loved pancakes. As we walk back toward the car, I glance over my shoulder one last time. The penguin sits at the base of the stone, a silent promise. The butterfly is gone, but somehow, I know Noah isn't. He's here, in the wind, in the leaves, in the quiet. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.